Fiorella is doing some great work over at the Convo Couch. She's really up on this election fraud that's been happening. And, we saw it happen in 2016, them closing polls, the way that the whole, and then we saw in Iowa, them flipping votes. They couldn't even, do we still know what the result was in Iowa? Did we ever find out what the result was in Iowa? And the exit polls aren't lining up. The exit polls are way off. Way off. A 4% triggers us to say that the UN says if it's a 4% discrepancy in the exit polls with the result, that triggers a revote. And ours are off sometimes by 15%. So here is what's happening in Arizona. So look at this. While announcing over a third of the polling locations in Maricopa County, Arizona will be closed. So they're going to close. So you know how they always find a way to close polling places inside poor neighborhoods, right? Or people who might vote for the progressive. They always do that. They did that in Texas. They're doing it here. They do it. So here they are. And and they're doing this under the guise of the coronavirus. So this doesn't, to close polling places doesn't make sense. Why doesn't it make sense? Well, to close polling places would mean you'd have more people in one place. You understand? You would think you want more polling places, so there would be less people at each place, meaning you wouldn't have 50 people jammed into a room at once. So now when you close all these polling places, that means you're going to have more crowded polling places and they're saying it's to prevent the corona. This is the exact thing that will make more of it. So here, but watch. So now a lot of people are speculating this. So this is the guy who had to come out and announce this. And a lot of people are speculating that this guy knows that he's lying. And so at the end, he just walks away without finishing his presentation because he's so, this is the speculation that he's so torn inside. So I'll let you make up your own mind. I don't know. Here, let's watch.
So I just want to let everyone know that we've been working very diligently the last several months to implement the Board of Supervisors' approved Election Day and emergency voting plan. But in the last several weeks, there have been some issues with us being able to identify enough supplies, whether those be cleaning supplies, and then we also had some polling locations fall out over the last few weeks. So last night with the board, we made the board made a decisive action to approve a plan and give me the direction to be able to reduce the number of voting locations that we would then be able to provide those voters and those voting locations with the supplies they need, those cleaning supplies, those sanitation supplies that we can then disinfect those high-touch surfaces in those polling locations. So those voters, if they wanted to vote in person, they'd be able to have that polling location be available to them, and then our poll workers would be able to make sure that all those high-touch surfaces were cleaned. So what this plan does is that we had 229 polling locations available prior to the plan, and then after the board's vote, I went and performed an analysis to make sure that all those voters had 151 vote anywhere vote centers. This now, we're taking this from those voters had 41 voting locations before these 151. Now they have 151 vote locations that they can choose from. And then with that, we're also going to be providing those voters with the options and the ability to, I'm sorry, I can't do this.
So right at the end, he just goes, "I'm sorry, I can't do this." He just walks up. He just walks away. And so lots of people are because this is bullshit, because it doesn't make logical sense. You to protect people from the coronavirus, you're going to crowd them more together. That doesn't make sense. So a lot of people are saying this guy finally his inner conflict. He said, "I can't do this anymore. I can't lie like this." That's what people are saying. No, I don't. I don't know why that guy did that. All I'm saying is that his logic is backwards. So it would appear that he's being forced to tell, or he's spewing something that is on its face illogical, which doesn't make sense. He knows it. And so a lot of people are speculating that he's saying these things for a different reason, and the real reason would be to suppress the vote once again. So they actually did, there was an election supervisor who recommended sending mail-in ballots to everybody. So now Fiorella catches it. She says, now Recorder Fontes is the recorder in Maricopa. It says, tried to help voters by mailing ballots to all Democrats not on the permanent early voting lists. So this guy, Adrian Fontes, he's the Maricopa County recorder, and he tried to help voters by mailing ballots to all Democrats not on the permanent early voting list to avoid dealing with the lack of preparation in Maricopa County polling stations. The judge ruled against him, stopping the mailing out of ballots. What? Again, this always only goes one way. This kind of shenanigans always only, it never is to enfranchise people. It's always only to disenfranchise people. You're never going to see a guy. Do you think this guy, if when he was giving that speech, if he was saying, "Hey, we're opening more polling places," he would have had a hard time finishing? Do you think he would have had a hard time finishing? He looks nervous through the whole. It's like he's doing an open mic for the first time, and people say, "Well, it's public speaking, so maybe he's nervous." He's a fucking public servant.
It's not like he was talking about the coronavirus. Right? It's not like he's asking people to do something, he's trying to explain some data. I couldn't understand. I'm like, why didn't you write it on a piece of paper? It was obviously that he felt compromised by what he was communicating. It looks like that.
It looks like that. I don't know, but it certainly looks like that. And on its face, it doesn't make logical sense. To protect people from the coronavirus, we're going to close polling places and crowd people more. That's not how you do that. That's not how you deal with it. And his thing is we don't have the resources. We don't have enough cleaning supplies. Oh my God. Oh my God. How did we go to the moon? So a lot of people are saying that's it's garbage. She says that's the guy. Fiorella reports the judge sided with Secretary of State and Attorney General in Maricopa. Just so we know, Maricopa County is full of Latinos and people of color. Highly Democratic county covering Phoenix. Arizona's state government clearly wants to disenfranchise voters. It seems obvious. And then someone says, Fiorella, thanks for your excellent coverage. There was someone in 16 doing similar work. She ended up so delusioned with Bernie Silas that she completely abandoned social media. Hey everybody, the next live Jimmy Dore show is May 1st in Minneapolis, and then we're going to Chicago. Go to jimmydorcomedy.com for a link for all the tickets to all our live shows, and become a premium member at jimmydorcomedy.com/join. We give you hours of bonus material every week. Thanks for your support.